Hello everyone and welcome to this week's analysis. I'm Rick Ray from rickrayfx.com, which is the website that I've had for quite a few years, but I have done a recent upgrade on that, so I would appreciate it if you check it out. And it's the same, rickrayfx.com, however just add a / and profile, as you can see here. And I'd appreciate if you go and have a look and let me know if you like the new upgrade, or if you don't like it, that's fine too. Just leave a comment or an inquiry below this video, and I do reply to all comments and questions and inquiries. So if you appreciate this video, which is my weekly analysis and I do every Sunday before the Forex market opens to share my trade setups with you, just be sure at the end of the video to subscribe to this channel and be sure and click the notification bell so you'll be notified every time I make one of these videos, which is every Sunday before the Forex market opens. And as usual, we'll have a look at the news first to see what news is coming up, see if we've got any high impact news and what we can expect from that, because we need to be aware of the fundamentals that might move the currencies and commodities for the week. So let's jump over to that website, forexfactory.com, and have a look and see what's coming up. And sure enough, there is quite a lot of high impact news coming for this last week of October. In fact, so much that I can't even get it all on the screen, on one screen. So starting off Monday, this last week of October, we have quite a bit of high impact news on the euro from the European Central Bank, and on the pound also. And then later in the beginning of the US session, there'll be some high impact news on the US dollar. Tuesday, some more on the US dollar. Wednesday on the Australian dollar, which is the beginning of the Asian Pacific market. And then later in the US session, we have some news on the Canadian dollar, and that's going to be a very important one to watch with the expected increase in the interest rate from the Bank of Canada. Expected to have a 50 basis point increase in the interest rate. And then on Thursday, some more high impact news on the euro, and that one very important to watch also. Expected to have a 75 basis point increase on the interest rate from the European Central Bank. And then a little bit more news later on from the US dollar, beginning of the US session, and then a press conference from the European Central Bank. And then on Friday, some news from the Japanese Central Bank, and they never give us a time on that. It's always tentative. We don't usually know when this will come out until the last minute, very, very late on notifying. And this will be on Friday. I expect something a little bit earlier in the week, but they're going to hold that at the end of the week, end of the month actually. One day left in October next week, but pretty much this is wrapping up October 2022. And then we have a little bit of news on late Friday, the beginning of the U.S. session on the Canadian dollar, and then also on the U.S. dollar. So we need to be aware of all of these news items as they're coming out, because these will definitely affect the movement of currencies and commodities. And this is the website forexfactory.com. These are my local times in Asia where I live, in Laos, Vietnam, and Thailand. And so be sure and check forexfactory.com for your local time. And now let's jump over and look at a review of last week trade setups that I shared with you and see what the results were. So these are the trade setups that I shared with you last week, and I didn't have any trade on gold because gold was neutral on the long-term chart, and I said that we were waiting to see if there might be a turnaround. And during the week we got a bearish signal, so I did manage to take some short trades in here. As you know, I always say if something is bearish, I do not buy. I only look for an opportunity to sell. So on gold, I did take a few short trades in here, and then we had that massive move turnaround on gold and a lot of the currency pairs on Friday, especially during the London and especially during the U.S. session. The dollar started to weaken, and that took pressure off of gold, and it was able to make a big move. In fact, blasted through the resistance levels that we had during the week at 1638, even went through 1654, and almost got up to 1660 zone. So that's what happened last week. And what's coming up for this week? Well, I'll share that with you in a few minutes when I go over the trade setups that I have set up for this last week of October. But let's continue the review and see what profit and loss we were able to make on the trade setups that I shared with you last Sunday. On the Euro US, this trade executed very early in the week. It was a sell limit, and the trade executed, and then the euro went up, but it didn't hit the stop loss. It looks like a big move, but it didn't quite get to the stop loss. Then came down in the middle of the week and went into profit, then went back above the entry point and still not able to hit the stop loss, and then came down. And if you were, watching and keeping your eye on the market on Friday, you could have finished this trade with 80 pip profit before that big move that we had late in the U.S. session, where the dollar weakened and all of the major currencies started to take off like ballistic missiles. But overall, the Euro US gave us a profit of 80 pips. The odd US, very, very similar. The sell limit executed very early in the week, and then it came down, and you could have taken profit anywhere the next day or midweek. If you held on to that, all right, it would have gone up and gone past the entry point, but then came back again during the day on Friday, and you could have finished out that trade with 127 pips. And surely you took profit somewhere, okay? If you can get 100 pips on one trade during the week, that is fantastic. The New Zealand US, very similar because it trades similar to the odd US, and that executed early in the week, never did get close to the stop loss, and then continued down on Friday, and you could have finished out with 95 pips on the New Zealand US. And the pound US, it looked like we weren't going to get a trade at all, right, because the buy limit, it was expected to go up. The buy limit did not execute anywhere in here, and then finally on Friday it did execute. And this is what I always say, be patient, all right? Let the market come to you. Don't chase these candles, all right? If your analysis is correct, the market will come to you. And it finally did. This buy limit executed on Friday, all right? And it went down just a little bit, but didn't get close to the stop loss. And then with that big turnaround we had in the U.S. session, you could have finished up Friday with 179 pips on the pound U.S. And then the odd JPY, there was a lot of movement with the JPY. This trade executed early in the week, the sell limit, okay, and it did go up. And I didn't put whether we had any profit or hit the stop loss on here, because if you were really sharp and really nimble, okay, when this sell limit executed, we were still good up until Friday, and then it went a little bit into profit. If you would have closed that out, or at least moved your stop loss below break even, you could have got out of this trade safely. But if you held on to it throughout the Friday session, you would have got stopped out, as it made that huge move up late in the Friday session on the odd JPY. The CAD JPY was buy limit, and there was no trade on that because it just took off. It just went straight up until Friday and never did execute. So no trade on the CAD JPY. And then the Swiss JPY was a good one. And here's another case of where I say, if your analysis is correct, be patient, let the market come to you, and look what happened. Okay, we've got a buy limit here early in the week, and the Swiss JPY just took off, and then finally on Friday, with that big move, fortunately with that big move, it came down here, hit our buy limit, dropped a little bit below that, but didn't get our stop loss, and then came back to our entry point and moved up, and if you could have closed out on Friday with a profit of 105 pips. And then finally the GBP JPY was no trade. It just took off, never did come down and hit our buy limit. So overall, in summary, you could have finished the week with these trade setups that I took just over 600 pips profit. Okay, so let's have a look and see what I've got set up for this last week of October 2022. And remember, this is what I see happening in the market. This is my perspective. This is my analysis. I'm not recommending or suggesting you take the same trades. You can, but it's up to you to manage your own account to use good risk management. And I will say several times throughout as we look at the charts that I'm not likely to take any trades or set any pending orders until Tuesday because of the extreme volatility that we had on Friday. The Japanese yen pairs moved some 500 pips. Gold moved up 400 pips. And are we likely to see the same volatility on Monday? Well, let's wait and see. Okay, but it would be wise to wait and see what the market direction is going to be. So I'm likely to wait until Tuesday before taking any trades. Now looking at gold, we have support at 1653, 1640, and 1623. It closed at 1656. So we are just above the first support level just a little bit. Resistance in the 1660 zone, and then 1680 and 1696. Now if we should come up to that resistance of 1660 in that zone, if I see that we can't break above and keep going, then I will likely place a sell order, because remember, gold is bearish on the day chart. It looks to be turning bullish on the H4, the 4-hour chart, but it's definitely bearish, still bearish on the day chart. So when something is bearish, I look for an opportunity to sell. So I'll be watching to see if it can break above resistance around the 1660 zone or not. If not, then I will really be looking to take a short trade around 1665. Okay, let's look at the major pairs. The Euro-US, we have a good bullish signal on the day chart. So I have a buy limit for the Euro-US at 0.9820. On the odd US is not clear, no clear direction. Still bearish on the day chart, but looking bullish on the 4-hour chart. So I will wait to see, give me a better indication, confirmation of clear direction. On the New Zealand US, we are finally turning bullish. So I have a buy limit on the New Zealand US at 0.5710. On the pound US, I have a buy limit at 1.1240. And then on the Japanese yen pairs, be careful here because of the action that we had from the Central Bank of Japan selling the US dollar to support the Japanese yen. We had those huge moves on the Japanese pairs. But on my day chart, I do have a buy signal. Okay, it's a bullish. It's continuing to be bullish. So I have a buy limit at 93.60. But again, I will be waiting until Tuesday, let the market play out, see what happens on Monday, and then likely place these pending orders on Tuesday. On the CAD JPY, I also have a buy limit at 107.75. On the Swiss JPY, a buy limit at 147.25. And finally, on the GBP JPY, a buy limit at 166.20. But again, be cautious. All right, let's let the market play out on Monday. Let's see what happens after that extreme volatility that we had on Friday. And perhaps on Monday we can get a clear indication of whether we're going to continue to see more high volatility. Remember, we do have a lot of high impact news coming this week, so check forexfactory.com for your local times and be aware of these data releases that will come out next week. And thank you for being here. I appreciate it. All right, remember, be patient. All right, let the market come to you. Don't be greedy. Okay, trade small, grow your capital slowly over time, and you can be successful in trading Forex. Thanks again. If you like this, please subscribe to the YouTube channel and click the little bell so that you'll get notified when I do make these, which is every Sunday before the market opens. And have a good week of trading, and I'll see you again next time. Bye-bye.